In 1981, it was a simple routine visit at a dentist office. I lived from Staten Island, New York, family of 8. My mom had taken me, and I remember, well, who likes the dentist? I don't. And I was sitting in the chair. It was just a routine visit. It was the dentist, the assistant, and my mom. And he was poking at something with one of his tools at my teeth, and it was hurting, so I pulled his arm away quick. And then he he gave me nitrous oxide, which we used to call laughing gas, sweet air. And then he took it off the mask, and then he started to work on me again. And I felt the sharp pain again in my teeth, and I pulled his arm away. And then he told the assistant, okay, give him more nitrous oxide. So they put the mask on me. I was breathing in more nitrous oxide, and then about 30 seconds later, I felt myself levitating out of my body. I go to the ceiling. I somehow turn around, and I'm looking downward at everyone. I think I'm in a dream state when this is actually happening to me. So I see my mom, the dentist, the assistant, and my body. Well, they're working on me, but I'm not there. I'm here. And I'm like, hello, hello, can you see me? But no one can see me. No one can hear me. And I start floating through the ceiling of the dentist office as if it didn't exist. I'm going up into the sky. All the buildings and homes are getting smaller. And then I get pulled into a tunnel that comes from nowhere. Again, now this is my spirit body, right? Because the physical body is back in the dentist office. This tunnel, I get pulled through very, very fast. Very, very fast. It's very long and dark. So, again, it's the spirit eye. If anything's going to see it, it's my consciousness that's seeing things. And I'm being pulled really fast. But I wasn't in pain. I wasn't worried or scared. I was going for a ride like you're on a roller coaster. And it was windy and long, and I started to slowly see at one point a pinhole of light. And I started slowing down in this tunnel and hearing melodies. Then I'm going to the light, and all of a sudden, I'm pulled right through it up into a magnificent sky. Beautiful sky, euphoric. That words really can't explain. But it wasn't only the sky. I was home. And I felt this vibration of peace and harmony on that side. Then I was pulled through these huge gates. So what's actually happening on that side now is I'm levitating, like gravitational pull. Some kind of a magnetic force is pulling me through. No pain. I'm taking it all, and I love it because I'm back home. That I realized at that point. And I'm pulled into a garden. Now, the garden on that side is second to none. My simpleton words here in the physical world could only give so much meaning to what that garden really is. Every leaf, flower, rose, piece of grass, everything was beyond perfect. But not only that, it felt alive. And I'm being pulled through it and taking it all in. So I'm embraced in it. And every moment, so it's as if I'm being pulled through this journey to experience these things. Then I'm being pulled into a field, the fields of heaven. Well, those fields stick with me today, all these years later, because they're real. They exist. They're immense. They go on they don't end the way we have time and distance. The fields just don't end. They're infinite. Each blade of grass was perfect, but not only perfect, it was alive. You can feel the vibration of creation through this field. A lot of people who have NDEs, including myself, we always talk about the garden and the field because there are 2 points in that side that unless you're there, you really, really don't understand how incredible it is. So this angelic being came from the far distance, the far right distance to me. She had blonde hair, crystal blue eyes, no wings, and I'm looking at her as if I knew her. She looked around. Now, again, I'm my spirit body, but I'm still thinking I'm still at that same age that I was in the physical realm. So she had to be around 14, the way she was showing herself. And she says, "Follow me." And she's pulling me by a magnetic force, magnetic pull. And she takes me to a park. And then she goes away, and I didn't want her to leave because I felt comfort with her as well. And at the park to the left side were these two elderly people. They turn around, stand up, and it was my grandparents. It was my grandfather, who I never met because he was deceased before I was born, and it was my grandmother, who died earlier that year in 1981. And she had on the blue dress that she was buried in. And my grandpa goes, "Hello, Sonny." And I says, "Grandpa." I was excited because I never got to see him. He had a top hat on with a gray suit. He looked around 60s, but not 60s here in the physical realm, a glowing 60s that you'd want to look like. And my grandmother looked absolutely beautiful in this blue dress. So he looks at my grandmother and goes, "What's Philip doing here?" And she looks at him and looks at me and points her finger and says, "Go back now." And I says, "Grandma," because I wanted to stay, "you don't want to leave when you're on that side." No. But when the other side says you're going back, you're going back. Because I guess it's not your time. And I'm being pulled backwards through the park, through the field, through the garden, through the gates, into this tunnel, going backwards really fast. And I didn't want to go back to wherever I was, where I came from, not meaning heaven, but the physical realm. I stopped myself in this tunnel. Somehow, through a form of thought, I stopped myself. Now, people ask me today what's the scariest part about an NDE, or near-death experience. Well, in the tunnel, you don't want to stop. It's a void. It's a black hole. It's a mist. It's a place where you feel like you'll never be found, heard, or seen, ever. It feels like you exist to nothingness. It's in physical realm, it's a tube from one side to the other. It's a portal of some sort. I pull myself back to that light and back to that beautiful sky again on the other side. But unfortunately, I was pulled back one more time, quickly, through the tunnel, out of the tunnel, into the sky, over a hospital ceiling, through the ceiling, as if the ceiling didn't even exist. Materials don't exist. And I'm looking at my body being worked on with an oxygen mask and people around me. And I had a moment now where I didn't want to go back into the body. Why would you? I'm free. I'm free. But I slipped right in somehow, like you put a glove on your hand, and I'm gasping for air. And the first person I see is my mom and the doctors. And so what happened was I had an allergic reaction to the nitrous oxide. Now, I was born with allergic to everything. I mean, I'm one of those people. They did the first studies on of the test and I was allergic to not pollen and this, and I mean everything under the sun. I was, especially now, nitrous oxide, which they wouldn't even have known, right? So that shut me down from breathing. A couple of days later, I went home from the hospital, talking to my parents. I went in heaven. I seen grandma and grandpa. This would be on my mom's side. But it was, and this is 1981, it was dismissed as a dream or a hallucination from the medication. Now I'm 14, I don't know any better. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's true. Okay. But there was always this part of me that felt, no, it was just too real. But I can't explain it to anybody because no one believes it. And back in that time, there was no internet. There was no shows on people dying and coming, 5 channels on television if you were lucky back then. So talking to friends, they didn't believe me. So time went on. I just lived a teenage life. And it wasn't up until a year later, I was 15 years old, and I'm in the beautiful summer day, and I'm in the backyard playing. And I look up at the sky. And I says, God, if I was really at your home, give me a sign, because no one ever believes me. In fact, I don't know if I believe me. So my mom says, Philip, we're going to go for a walk with your brothers and sisters. Come in the front yard. So I go through the gate into the front yard. And we lived on a very long street. It's a beautiful summer day, if you could picture this in your mind. My father was working in Manhattan. And we start walking. So it's my mom in front of me with my 3 older brothers. My mom's pushing my younger sister in a stroller. And my older sister's to the right. And about half a block up, I feel this energy to the right side of me. I turn, and it's the girl from heaven. Now I think that I'm seeing things. And I says, Mom, that's her. I'm all excited. My brothers, but they're looking, they don't see anybody. But when I seen her, I felt like I was alive again, like in heaven. I felt like alive, like really alive. And I was happy and ecstatic. And my older sister sees her. My older sister, Patricia, sees her, and she's talking to her. Now, she looked around just like in heaven, but she had on a shirt with flowers. These were the same flowers I seen in that garden in heaven. Regular blue jeans and skippies, but it was different. She was trying to mirror the image of the age I was. She looked beautiful, and she had a glow around her, this energy that was just incredible. And my sister's laughing with her, and I says to her, this girl, I says, you can see me? And she goes, of course I can see you, silly. I'm here for you. You asked for a prayer. I'm here. Now you remember, I'm 15 years old, and trying to take this in as a 15-year-old, this is a lot. Um, I'm kind of speechless today even talking about this because this was a miracle. And she's walking and laughing and conversating with my oldest sister, and I'm happy now my oldest sister sees her. No one else sees her, but she's talking to her. And then about a minute later, it was about a good minute or two, she was with us. We kept walking. She's gone. And me and my older sister were looking for her up and down the street, and my mom thinks we're joking around. Well, before I was born, a couple of years before, my mom had lost a daughter in the home I grew up in at about a week or two old. Her name was Linda. And we strongly believe, because of the reoccurrences that happened with my older sister, that that girl was our sister that we never got to see. And that was a miracle from heaven. And we come to that conclusion because my older sister says, well, after that point, I've seen her. I used to see her every once in a while in the house, but I never said anything to anybody. And then when she moved, my sister, and got married, she says, I would have dreams of her looking the same way. She was there. That's Linda. I get asked every day, practically, do miracles happen? They do. Not every prayer is answered, but there must be a reason for it. But for me to have the experience and knowing that there's a higher power listening and share your story with the world, um, I kept it hidden for a long time. In fact, I didn't come out with this for, I just came out with it. I'm 57 years old. I came out with this a few years ago, letting the world know about this, my NDE, because I had a hard time really trying to describe it and tell people how real it is.
You've mentioned, you didn't want to share it for a long time, and of course, I can imagine when you're 15, of course, everybody that you would talk to would not believe it, and it would be plausible to say, well, maybe you've dreamed of it, maybe it's all the substances you had in the hospital that created this image in your brain. We didn't know any better. But I do sense that a few years ago, when you made a decision to start speaking about it, there was a reason that you thought that was important to share it and to talk about it. What is that reason for you?
I've had this story embedded in me and my experience for a long time, a long time. And I wasn't really sure how people would accept it. Because you have non believers and naysayers, and it was an illusion or a dream. But when someone else is experiencing what you're experiencing, you know now this is a realism of a miracle. And I decided, why not just come forward? Maybe I could actually help grieving people in the physical realm go through hard times, knowing that this isn't the end all. Now, in the cemetery in Staten Island is my sister Linda and my grandmother on top of her. Um, they came together with the person who also I always wanted to meet was my grandfather. And when I get asked, well, if my parents die, or a friend, or a sister, brother, cousin, relative, anyone, will I ever see them again? I promise you, you'll see them in the best form you could ever imagine. You will. Um, there's no pain on that side. There's no hurt. There's no sorrow. There's no regret. There's the pureness of the word we call love, the real meaning of love. In the physical realm, we could say, I love you. And you can feel it, of course. But you see, now on that side, it's different. That meaning means so much more. Because not only you saying it, not only you feeling it, but you're vibrating with it on that level. So you're at a higher vibration on that side. An ultimate vibration of ecstasy.
So, when you grew up, this memory still stayed with you. How has it impacted the choices you've made for your life after then? Did you think of it again? Did it impact maybe the choices that you made for your future?
Most definitely. I know now, deep inside of me, we go on. There's not a person in the world that could tell me any different because I've experienced it. That's the first one. The second thing is live. Live. Enjoy life. Enjoy it. Don't take things for granted. Enjoy it. Do what you want to do. It's a short journey. I get asked how long were you over there in heaven, Philip? I get the sarcastic remarks. How long were you there? There's no time. So what was a minute or two here or three in the physical realm of dying? Could have been a month over there because I took in so much. Time does not exist. We make up time. So live your life. Don't be afraid to take chances. And from that point on, I was never afraid to take chances. Live. Be happy. Do what you feel you should do. And one of the things I teach people is this. There's so much knowledge I've gathered with that. We are the creators. You came into this world alone. Your soul came in alone. Right? You didn't hold someone's hand and say, I'm going with you. You came in alone. And when you leave alone. No one's going with you. They'll be at your bedside if that's possible when you're ready to cross. They're not going with you. But the people that have crossed over before you will be there to get you. So if you're on this journey and you are the sole creator of you, do what you want and enjoy life and be happy. And I also teach people that the material things that you get are meaningless. The mansion, if you have one, the yacht, it's all good. But it's a temporary thing. It's temporary. But you know what's permanent is to take the embracement of what you did for your fellow man with you to the other side. Because that's part of your aura, your energy, your consciousness. You ain't taking a U-Haul truck with all your little toys. It's meaningless. So enjoy the ride in the best natural format you can. And take nothing for granted. Now, I have to say something here. People look at grass and say, oh, it's nice. I cut the grass, it looks good, and trade it or whatever. But what if I told you that on the other side, every blade of grass is alive? You can feel its energy. Then you wouldn't take it for granted. And I think what the Creator was trying to tell me, God was trying to tell me that the simple things that we have are the most pleasurable things, only to be understood by the person that is grounded in the physical realm, that embraces nature. Everything you get from one blade of grass, now people look and say, well, it's boring, but it's really not. It's how you look at it, how you look at a flower or a rose. If you look at it and you feel the embracement of it, you'll understand it. But when you cross over, that is life. That is the part of the creation. So we exist togetherness. We're an energy that is all connected. I also have learned that before we come here to this physical realm, which we have many journeys, we have soul contracts that we don't remember for the most part. And we're like, well, I want to go here with these parents, this family, and I want to leave at this time. One of the hardest questions I get asked is this. Why would someone choose to die of cancer? Why would someone choose to die of a horrible sickness or a car accident or 2 years old? The soul wants to experience things on a short window through multiple existences of lifetimes. We are in a box here in the physical realm. We have 5 senses, right? You can see, you can hear, you can talk, you can walk, you can breathe. We're limited. So my analogy is you blow up a balloon and make believe the air that you put in that balloon is your soul. The balloon is the meat sack. It's your body, right? Now let the air out slowly. Now here comes the soul out of the balloon. Well, the soul doesn't feel all the reflections and dents and hurts that the balloon took throughout its course. The soul goes back home to its natural course. with a bloom decays and eventually goes into a ground or is disintegrated. It's over. But the soul's energy was just using it as a least vehicle to experience certain things. And when you cross over, you feel all of it and you understand all of it. That this is the short journey. So don't be afraid of the unimaginable where you won't be here. Because we're all not going to be here in 100 years. In 200 years, you're lucky to be a memory from the new generations. And the biggest question I get is this, too. If Earth did not exist because there was a war that destroyed everything, the whole Earth was gone. Follow me on this. So let's just say it was nuked. There's no more Earth. Would Earth still exist? Yes. Because you created it. Everything around you, you have created. You are the creator. Nothing is solid. Nothing. The chair you're sitting on, the walls you look at, you made solid through a creation of reality. You manifested it to be solid. But nothing is solid. So if nothing is solid, then you created everything around you, and the most powerful thought is manifestation. And then we talk like, how do billionaires become billionaires and millionaires become millionaires? Manifestation. So it's the thought of consciousness what you really want and understand. The laws are limitless to manifestation and to the belief of a person. A very similar effect I talk about is this. It's called the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is where certain people remember timelines of things that were different than other people in timelines. It's a very powerful thing. And people say, well, no, the cereal label was this way. And other people say, no, it was never that way. Multiple dimensions of time. They do believe it was one way, and you believe it's another way because you're both right. You're just on a different timeline. So if you're on a different timeline, what you've manifested is to cross over.
Can you break that down for me? Because I've heard of the Mandela effect before, but as you're saying this to me, I don't know that it makes complete sense.
So the Mandela effect it goes back to a president who was believed to have died in the 1980s. People remember going to his funeral. He died a few years ago. But people are convinced that they were at the funeral when he died. Then the study came along of, if that's happening, then all these other things that are very similar. So basically in the United States, like you could see a cartoon from the 70s that don't have some of the same characteristics that it has 20 years later. Certain people remember it one way and other people remember it another way. Their timeline shifts because we live in a multi-dimensional universe. So here's an example. We're doing the show today. In 20 years from now, you watch the show, or I watch the show. I might have on a white shirt. And you said, no, your shirt was black. It was a black polo. It's slipping through a timeline that is unexplainable. But both people are right. So here we have logos. One of the biggest Mandela effects that we have is a logo. It's the Fruit of the Loom logo where it's something that was put on underclothes like t-shirts, underwears, tank tops. It has a cornucopia on it. Other people say, no, it just had a fruit basket. And it's this big controversy of, what is it? Is it the government trying to erase things, or is it really that we went through another timeline? So it goes with everything in life, where you can remember something one way, anything in your life, and someone else will say, no, it didn't happen that way. It happened this way. And again, both people are right. It's just that you're not on that. So, how I describe the universe is like you have a guitar, and each guitar has a string, chord, and you may be on that different chord than the other person that you knew who remembers it a different way on their chord.
Right. So it wouldn't be that I would. I think that what was throwing me for a loop was the thought of me existing right now in other universes as well, or in other
You
timelines.
do.
And then,
You do.
okay, that's something that I've heard of as well. I've tried to look into it, but to be fair, I don't think I've ever fully understood it.
Here's what you need to understand.
Tell me.
Um, our brain is a computer, right? It's a computer. It can only hold so much data, right? After that, it overloads. Like a car would overheat, your brain overload. This can't hold that much data. That's facts. When you leave the body on a near-death experience or an out-of-body experience, you don't. There's no data. It's unfathomable knowledge. It's knowledge that you're gathering that the brain can't gather because it can only go so high. So trying to explain certain things in the physical realm is is so hard sometimes because the brain can only absorb so much. It can only take in so much. There's only so much storage that we have, and that's a fact. So when I say that we live on multiple dimensions, time does not exist. We made up time. You are the creator of you. You've created everything around you. The air you breathe, what you see, what you hear. And people ask me to compare the physical realm to the spirit realm of heaven, or what I call home. That's life. This is the dream. Now, you may ask, well, if I'm on multiple dimensions at simultaneously, how come I can't see it or feel it? Well, sometimes we do, because there's things that we call deja vu, where you may have felt like, wait a second, I've been there. I know I've been there. I remember this person. Their timelines.
So let me be super silly here for a second, because I'm thinking if I have this silly thought in my brain, maybe somebody else has it as well. So is it, because I would think that if such a thing exists, then Sabrina in another dimension is just an entirely different person.
Correct.
And then perhaps because we have these soul contracts that we come into the world with, because we need to achieve a certain mission and we need to learn our lessons, then in this lifetime I'm learning lesson X, and in that universe I'm learning lesson Y. But then if we're talking about the space where this happens, if I have deja vu, it means that I've been somewhere where I do not recognize that I've been before. It would mean that those timelines are sort of in the same space.
Correct.
Okay,
Moments in time. Again, your brain is not going to get all this. It's not. No matter how you think it, try to analyze it. You're not. It's not. It's so complex. I try to break it down as in simple formats. Um, this is the physical realm is the fragment of the person. It's a grain of sand on a beach. We're unlimited grains of sand. And again, it's so hard because you're like, well, I don't get it. I don't understand. When you cross over, you'll understand. But in the physical realm, it's hard to. That's why I say live life, be happy. Don't worry about taking chances. Take your chances. Do what you want to do for the best of you and people around you, not material things. They'll come and go. Um, so I want to say this. Now you're from another country, but there is a movie that is very similar to what I'm talking about. It's an entertainment movie. It's called The Family Man with Nicolas Cage. It's a very, very powerful, good movie if you understand it. And basically, it's a guy. I want you to follow me on this. It's a funny entertainment movie, but it brings so much um, knowledge to what I'm talking about in simple ways. He has a family. He goes to sleep. He doesn't wake up from his sleep. He dies. He wakes up in another lifetime with another family that he doesn't recognize at first. He slips through a timeline, trying to understand it, and meanwhile, that's his family. So, how can I get this through? It's as if when we die or cross over, because I don't believe in death, the way it's explained, when we cross over, you switch timelines so quick that you don't even know it. And you won't even say it's like instantaneous, and you're just like taken from where you are. It's crazy, but it's real. It's you're just slipping through this timeline. This, like I said, this is that short window, and that's the best I could do for you. I can't go any further to try and explain it because I don't have 5 hours, but that's all I could do.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and I think
But watch the movie.
I will.
Watch the movie. The Family Man with Nicolas Cage. Watch the movie, and you'll get what I'm saying.
I will. And everybody in the comments also let me know if I'm the only one struggling with this, because I'm feeling very vulnerable now. But what I also wanted to talk to you about is I know that you talk to a lot of people, and sometimes you meet people that go through their own challenges, people that are maybe lost. Now, one of the comments that I've read that really stuck with me was somebody saying, I'm praying all the time. I'm constantly doing my best to let God know what needs to happen in my life, but I never feel like my prayers are answered. It never seems like anything is happening. And I just continue praying, but there's nothing happening. What would you say to somebody that told you that?
The fact that they can tell me that there's always something happening to them. They can breathe, they can talk, they can see, they can hear. Let me ask you this. If I offered you right now after this show $1 million, but you'll never see again, you'll have no eyesight, ever, would you take the money?
Well, I would not.
I can't hear you.
I would not.
Why?
Because I cannot even begin to, whilst I probably could imagine what my life would look like with $1 million, but I don't think that I could imagine what it would be like without seeing. And I surely wouldn't be able to enjoy anything that the $1 million would bring me. Same if you took my arms or my legs.
My point is, you're priceless. You have everything. You're priceless. I can't put a number on your eyesight or your arms or your legs or your breathing. You're correct. So if I can't put a price tag on it to take it from you, you have everything, don't you? See, let's go back to the simplicity in the beginning of the show. It's important for people to know this. Just take this and understand it. Remember I talked about the blade of grass in heaven, right? In that field, one blade of grass, not five, one. If you can feel the creation of vibration of a blade of grass and it's a coexistence with us, and in the physical realm, we look at a blade of grass and we cut it, we take it for granted. Wouldn't it mean that the blade of grass that I was told to let mankind know is that, well, that you have everything? It's just a perfect example of the most simple things of nature, what we're given. So, People ask me, well, I pray for a new job, or I pray for more money, and I pray. Well, first, if you can pray, your miracle's already around you. You already have everything. The second thing is take it and understand it and magnify it. If you take the most simple things in life and understand it for what it is and ground yourself, you can embrace in it more, and more positive flow comes through. What does that mean? Take your shoes off, take your socks off, go walk on a field or grass, whether it's in your backyard, and don't take it for granted, because we're all part of everything. So now you're taking all that substance, that natural substance that we call life. You ground yourself. Some people like to hug trees. Think of you getting through the problem or thought why you wanted the miracle in the first place. Remember I said that we are the creator? Remember I said we come in and go out alone? Correct? So if you're the creator and you come in and go out alone, you can manifest things in the physical realm. Okay? Now, if you can manifest things through power of thought, think of it as if it already happened. So, and it's very hard to do, but think of it as if it already happened. Someone wants to be in a relationship, but they can't meet someone. Think of it as if it already happened. Feel it as if it already happened. And the vibration will come to you, and it will happen. So, prayers are answered. Just because a prayer that you say, well, I want to get healed of a sickness. Now, let's go back to the soul contract. You're in a physical body that will decay. Okay? It will. It's like the leased vehicle. It's going to go back sooner or later. It's going back. But you're the air in the balloon leaving. You are the soul. You are the free will, and you are the choice. So if you are the free will, you get to manifest things in the physical reality through a form of belief, a form of consciousness, a form of thought. If it doesn't happen for you, it wasn't part of the soul contract to begin with. And that's okay. Because this is a short journey. Short. It's a short window. I describe the physical realm as you're in a car, you stop at a stop sign, and then you go again. That's over. It's over. That's how quick it is. We just complicate things. We make things more complex. If you knew what I knew and you could feel what I feel, where I've been, you whether you were on your deathbed, ready to cross over, or at the highest point of your life and still want more knowledge of understanding, do we go on because I don't want to lose everything I have? You just gain so much more. Just enjoy it, embrace what you have, and don't take for granted your eyesight, for example, because it's priceless. You are priceless then, right? Nothing can put a tag on you. So then you have everything, and so does the blade of grass. It's everything. And once you understand that, you'll balance yourself better in life. So don't put yourself into a category of, well, someone has a better car than me or a better home than me. Who cares? Who cares? Was this a short race and a run to have more material things than the next person or the better job? Who cares? Doesn't mean anything. You're all going to the same place, right? There's a start line and a finish line for every one of us. I interviewed billionaires myself. I used to have my own radio show. I interviewed billionaires that were dying. And I said, if you could do one thing with your money, what would it be? And they would say what I can't do. I would want to buy more time to live. So if you can't buy time, then you already have everything as you're existing and that's priceless, then enjoy the moment of time and don't take that moment for granted.
I love that. And I have to say, once it started becoming clear to me that everything I need and everything that can make me happy is already inside me and it's not outside of me in the form of stuff or people, my life became much more peaceful because I stopped needing for this to happen, for that to happen, for that person to do something, for, I don't know, that item to appear in my closet. There's all these external things, and what I've also noticed is that the joy that you think you feel if you were to get a new car or a new, in my case, bags or shoes, it's very short-lived. I think the pursuit of it is what gets you to do something. It motivates you, which is really nice. But then once you've achieved that, it's like getting an exam that you know is going to be really hard. I think the pursuit is worthwhile, but once it's done, you enjoy it for a second, and then you're off to the next thing that you think is going to make you happy. And then it is a continuous pursuit. And I tend to think, now I am not a billionaire, I have to say, but I tend to think that when you're extremely wealthy, it sort of goes like this as well, that you start wanting a bigger car and then a bigger house and then a bigger boat, and then you start looking at those people who have private planes and you don't have one yet. So you're consistently, instead of looking at the big car and the big house that you have, you're thinking, yeah, but like I don't have a plane and everybody else has one. So it seems to be a mindset thing of being happy with what, regardless that you have a private plane or a pool or a house or not, but it's a mindset thing, and it's a being happy with what you've got and understanding that yourself is all you need instead of crossing items off a list.
Because you are priceless. So you already have everything. You already have all the material things will come and go. You are priceless. So if you ground yourself with nature and take away all the other waves of energy of who has what and all the greed, and because what you said is correct. You have a car, well, you're a millionaire, then you want a bigger car. You have a house, you're a millionaire, you want a bigger house. You have, what are you chasing in this short journey? Material things. Is that what the Creator wanted of you? Or did He want you to embrace the moment of time that you exist and you take for granted? Enjoy it while it's here. Because like I said, I've interviewed the most wealthiest people. They can't buy time, which they wanted to. So then it's priceless. And you have it now.
Absolutely. Now, I also want to touch upon the work that you do with people that are thinking of committing suicide. I'm curious if you were to describe the average person that you get to see that is thinking there's just no way out and there's no possible way that I can take any more of this. What are they feeling? What are they thinking?
Well, a lot of people that, after every interview, I always leave my email address for anyone who needs to talk to me that's going through a hard time. You can email me. I don't want your money. I'm not about money. I'm about, if I can help you, I will. If I can't, I can't. But when it comes to spiritual contact and ingenuity of a person, um, some people feel like there is no more hope. They have nothing to live for. And I respond to them in a way where I have to exactly feel where they're coming from and why their thought process is they have nothing left to live for. And through conversation, I'll regain their inner strength, their inner vibration, to make them realize how much they already have and how to get through the physical journey. with happiness. I help a lot of people. And I'm glad this is why I do these NDE experiences and interviews, because it's teaching people, not only do we go on, not only is this kind of like the dream state, but you've picked some of these things through the soul contract, and that's okay. Now let's just get through them and finish the journey. It's some of these people now that I've talked out of suicide are married and happy with families. Some of them went back to their careers or better careers. So my words of wisdom are never give up, ever. Because if you are the soul creator, you're limitless. You just have to get to understand that. Once again, my name is Philip Siracusa. You can email me at psiracusa4@yahoo.com. You can always look me up on Google, and you can research my coaching and talking to other people about NDEs, and also helping people through this simple transition of life that we go through in the best ways they can. But remember this, to the listener, the most important thing is you are the creator. You are the light, the love, the energy. You have it all. Never give up, never have doubt, and think you already have what you want. Manifest it through a power of thought and consciousness, and live on, because time is not bought, but earned through the soul. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Phil. We'll add all the links in the description below so people can reach out. And I want to thank you for being here with us and for explaining, I think, to us what life is all about and what the purpose is. Because I think often enough we sometimes lose track of it. So it's always nice to come back to the basics and to understand that we need to appreciate what we've got and to understand that we're not, in fact, lacking anything. So thank you for reminding us all of that.
Yeah.
Same to you. Thank you so much, Phil.
Thank
Have
you.
a lovely one. Have a good interview.
Thank you.